Hello everyone, and welcome to the Goddess Temple Teachings Lammas Symposium. And this symposium is a showcase of all of our wonderful tutors who have such expertise in their fields and offer their teachings through the Glastonbury Goddess Temple. So today I'm here with Maria Jones, who teaches the Silver Spiral Star Priestess and Priest course for Goddess Temple Teachings. So Maria, I was just going to ask you to introduce yourself.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. It's so lovely to be here again with you, just at the edge of tipping over into Virgo season, ahead of the new moon tomorrow as well, actually. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Maria, and I've been teaching the Silver Spiral for 5 years now. This is our 5th year. So I am a star priestess, a goddess astrologer, and my work really focuses around bringing the feminine essence back into astrology.
Wonderful, thank you. And can you share a little bit about your personal path to goddess?
Yeah, of course. So I feel like I am very fortunate because I was always aware of goddess, which it has been a real blessing. I was raised in a household and a family where the kind of old ways were recognized. So, of course, the goddess was weaved into that. And as I progressed through my spiritual journey, my spiritual seeking, I walked down many pathways. I think, like many of us do, I dabbled a little bit in magic, in Reiki, and all of these different avenues of kind of coming home to the self. But it was really about 10 years ago when I was going through my Saturn return in Scorpio. So if you know anything about astrology, you know what that means. Mine's in the 8th house too, so it was a fun time. But it was also a time of great transformation. It was when I began to seriously practice astrology. And it was also when the goddess really started appearing to me in my dreams. Mm-hmm. So she came really, really prominently in the form of the planetary goddesses. I was off with the spheres every night during that period, dreaming about Venus and dreaming about Lilith. And those two goddesses happened to be very prominent in my own natal chart as well. So these were the real strong archetypes that came through. But I'd also always been very aware of the Avalonian mysteries and the Lady of Avalon as Morgan Le Fay from legend. Again, due to my very fortunate upbringing in that way. So it was a natural evolution for me to be drawn to the Priestess of Avalon training. So I was really seeking and desiring to do this training. I think I bought Kathy's book about 10 years before I actually got onto the training. And one year it just manifested, the money came, and it became very easy for me to do. So I stepped onto that training, and I think, like many people who are watching, who have been through the process, it just transforms you at such a deep level when you do those 3 spirals. You know, you're never the same. So that, of course, really enhanced my connection to goddess in so many ways. But for me, it's always been the star goddess. You know, she was always the one that called me most strongly, and in the form of Ariane Rod. from our Wheel of the Year. So through that journey, this training was born. So for me, my work is my devotion to Goddess, I think, in many ways.
Yeah, that's amazing, and how wonderful to be brought up in a family that recognised the old ways, as so many of us were not. So what a blessing. Yeah, thank you for sharing. So can you talk a little bit more about your course?
Yeah, of course. So the training was birthed as I was going through the Lady of Avalon training. So I'd been very involved in astrology before I began training in Glastonbury. And as we were going through the Wheel of the Year, I was thinking to myself, this is all overlaid with astrology, the solstice and equinox points, the goddesses we honor. They are very aligned with the astrological archetypes. But the problem we have with traditional astrology is that most of these archetypes are very masculine, very unhelpful for women. Some of them are worse than others. But throughout the layers of time, all of these planetary deities or beings have taken on a masculine identity, apart from Venus and the moon. So with planets like Saturn and Mars and Jupiter, we have these solely masculine archetypes and some not very helpful Greek mythology that goes with them. So our understanding of the planets, and therefore our own birth charts, can come from a very unhelpful and patriarchal perspective. So I began kind of rewriting these archetypes from a goddess perspective and researching these planetary deities. And everywhere I dug, whether it was Saturn, whether it was Jupiter, I found the face of the feminine. So throughout the Silver Spiral training, we meet all of these archetypes within ourselves. And as we do so, we reclaim all of these different faces of the feminine, all of these 12 divine archetypes of the feminine. And through doing that, we come to know ourselves. So for me, astrology is the way that we know ourselves. It's the way that we empower ourselves. It's the way that we understand ourselves. It's the way that we work with our soul gifts and also, understand our shadows and blockages and resistances as well. So all of the archetypes are important, but within your own chart, there's going to be a few that you really deeply resonate with, and learning how to embody them can be incredibly healing and transformative. So, as we journey through the spiral, we really meet ourselves over and over again. So everyone always says, it's quite a powerful journey of shadow work in a lot of ways as well. So it is really this coming to this understanding of, this is our human self, as indicated by our astrological map, but also we are so much faster than that too.
Yeah.
We reclaim our connection to the stars and we expand our consciousness, we expand our vision, we see with a much more limitless perspective. I think that is one of the gifts of the star goddess, and understanding the cycles of time.
Yeah, that sounds really beautiful. Thank you. And it's a 2 spiral training, isn't it? So there's a year 1 and a year 2, and you start in March every year.
We do. We begin with Aries, of course, and I'm an Aries myself, but, don't hold that against me. So we begin with Aries. We begin at the 0 point at the beginning of the zodiac, and we spiral around and we do our dedication ceremonies around Imbolc when the sun is in Aquarius, the sign of astrology, the sign of the star fire. And there's lots of very powerful celestial alignments within the landscape of Glastonbury around that time as well. So we also look at that in the training too, particularly in the second year. We learn a lot of star law, because understanding the natal chart helps you to understand yourself, but for the ancestors, you know, the stories of the people were written in the stars, you know.
Yeah.
So we also, you know, look at that as well, you know. So this time of year, for example, we've been looking a lot at Sirius and the rising and the cycles of Sirius as the goddess Isis. So there are many different layers to it, and what we often find is that people are very drawn to one aspect, which they then become very dedicated to and very proficient in. So we have people writing books and all sorts of things that are happening, you know, people bringing back these planetary goddesses and asteroids in such a devotional way. So it's so amazing to see them taking all of that out into the world as well.
Absolutely. It must be, yeah, to see that creativity flow from your teachings is just wonderful, isn't it? So thank you. So can you share a little bit about what inspired the vision for your course? You mentioned the Lady of Avalon and the Priestess of Avalon training earlier.
Yeah, so there was one major moment for me, you know, when you have these moments in time when something just drops in or shifts for you and things are never quite the same after. And I remember being sat in the Goddess Hall at summer solstice, which is not my favorite time of year. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm a creature of the darkness. You know, I like the autumn and the winter. And I was sat at the back of the hall, probably a bit sulky, because water is not my natural element. But I was sat at the back of the hall facing into the north. And those of you who have been in the hall will know that there is the most beautiful depiction of Ariane Rod, which we use on the course leaflets and promotional materials now by Jane Brideson. I think that she had maybe gifted to Kathy. And I was just suddenly transfixed by this image of the goddess weaving the cosmos, you know. It's such a beautiful image, you know, her hair is strands of starlight. She's in this great, vast cosmic web. So I always say, you know, from that moment on, I met Ariane Rod and she never really left. And it was her that really inspired the vision for this training, which is, you know, that weaving of astrology and star law and really learning how to become the weaver of your own threads of destiny. So as I began the training and I started to understand things, or she revealed more to me in a deeper way, I really came to understand that this was such an important training for the turning of the ages that we currently find ourselves in. So if anyone listens to me on the podcast or, you know, reads my post, you know that I'm always talking about the Aquarian Aeon or the Aquarian age, which is the age of the star goddess, and it's the age of vision. So for me, this training is supportive for those people who wish to really step into that frequency. Because astrology is ruled by Aquarius, so astrology is such an important piece of the puzzle for us to reclaim and remember as we go through this transition on Earth, because all of these things that we're seeing can be explained by looking at the stars. So for me, that's a big intention behind this training at this time, is to help people reconnect with that true Aquarian soul fire self.
Wonderful, thank you. What a wonderful inspiration to have as well, and sort of sounds like at that time of year it was unexpected treasure that you found
It
and connected with.
was because I'm very Capricornian. I'm quite Saturnian, so I'm on the opposite side of the wheel, kind of astrologically, to the solstice, which is Cancer. But there's a very powerful kind. It's the opposite of the winter solstice. So we have the same kind of astrological gateway that opens. We call it the Silver Gate, that opens at that solstice point of the year in the summer. So as I reflected on that a little bit more deeply, I could understand it. But still not my favourite time of year. I'm looking forward to the
Thank you, Maria. It's been really wonderful to talk to you, and thank you for sharing your journey and your course and your inspiration. Much appreciated. And if anyone is interested in finding out more about Maria's Star Priestess, the Silver Spiral training, you can find all the details at the Goddess Temple Teachings website, which is www.goddesstempleteachings.co.uk. And if you want to ask any questions, then just pop your questions into the comments in Goddess Conversations, and we will do our best to answer them. Thank you and have a wonderful day.